Welcome to Now We're Getting Somewhere. I'm Katie, and I'm a certified life coach, but I've also been a management consultant at McKinsey and a product manager at a tech startup. In other words, I know what it feels like to have a life that looks pretty good on paper, but doesn't feel as good as I want it to. I help my professional clients develop lives that are more meaningful, happy, and also more successful. And I want to share the same practical insights with you. Let's go. Hey everybody, I wanted to share one personal thing before we get into today's topic, which is I am 2 books into the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Have you read it? Have you heard of it? I hadn't really heard of it, but a client of mine recommended it to me, and I'm not usually a fantasy person, but it's like a fantasy adventure romance, really. Oh my gosh, it is so good. The first book was like solid. I enjoyed it. And the second book it blew me away. I read the whole thing. It's long. It's maybe 600 pages. And I am now rereading it because I just felt so moved and I felt like I really need to digest it before I move on to the next one. So if you've read it, message me. We need to talk. I need to talk to people about it. But with that in mind, I wanted to share a short episode with you today about work and work-life balance. Obviously, this topic is on my mind because I am launching 10 Hours Back. In fact, this week, as you get this episode, I will be doing interest calls for 10 Hours Back in addition to coaching my one-on-one clients. So on those interest calls, I'm just going to be meeting everybody who's interested in the program one-on-one and having conversations with them about what's going on with them and what they're thinking about and what they're yearning for and what's not working for them about work right now. So I can give them a really honest perspective on whether I think the program and I could be helpful to them and give them a chance to see whether it feels like a good fit on their end. I'm also just really excited about that. I feel like the beginning of marketing a new program or sharing about a new program is kind of just me. I have these ideas. I send emails about it, but it's the first time I really get to meet live these thoughtful and deep and warm people who always end up joining my groups. It's always these really cool people. So I'm really excited about that too. As you receive this, I will be up to that this week. And if you haven't heard of it, I should say 10 Hours Back is my small group coaching program. I'm going to be running this spring to help a small group of professionals reduce their work week by 10 hours without sacrificing quality. And the thing that I love the most about this category of topic is that everyone wins. You win because you get 10 hours back in your week. And I just think the whole world would be a better place if everyone had 10 more hours in their weeks. And I also think that everyone wins because your organization wins, both because the way I try to do it, the way I do it, you won't be reducing your effectiveness. In fact, hopefully you'll be increasing your effectiveness and increasing your creativity and enthusiasm, and certainly increasing your willingness to stick around at your job if it's something you're interested in. So your organization and its mission wins on a bunch of levels, and also your family wins and your friends win and the world wins as you're showing up in this kind of better way. So in honor of all of that, in honor of work-life balance, in honor of 10 Hours Back, today I just want to offer you a short podcast with one radical idea. And here it is. At work, your job is to add value. Your job is not to work a specific number of hours. Let me say it again. At work, your job is to add value. Your job is not to work a specific number of hours. And I will give the obvious caveats. I am mostly talking about knowledge work or white collar work of some kind, though it also applies to other types of work as well. And yes, there are exceptions, but of course, you are probably not the exception. I have worked with clients in a wide range of industries, from technology to entertainment to marketing to government to nonprofit to all kinds of corporate work. And these clients have a wide range of jobs, a wide range of skill sets, a wide range of bosses, a wide range of personalities. And in my experience, most people believe that they cannot reduce their working hours when we start working together, and they are typically happy when I prove them wrong. Your job may think that it wants a certain number of hours from you. Your boss may think that they want a certain number of hours from you, but ultimately what they really want, what anyone really wants, is the greatest amount of value from you. And doesn't that make logical sense? Like, if the choice was more hours or more value, wouldn't the obvious choice be more value? And here's where the sort of key clincher comes into place. Most people will add the greatest amount of additional value by working smarter, not longer. I'm going to say that again because I think our brains often don't accept this as true. Most people will add the greatest amount of additional value by working smarter, not longer. Working longer tends to lead to decreasing marginal value, and it will decrease your ability to provide any value over the long term. Each day you'll go in and be able to provide less and less because you're more and more tired. On the other hand, working smarter involves using our brains more effectively when we are working and then taking strategic, smart breaks. We're going to talk about that in 10 hours back so that our brains can rest. Working smarter frequently actually involves working fewer hours than you do now. Here's a thought experiment. Imagine that you're a manager. Your direct report says, I want to add 25% more value, but I don't want to tell you how I'm doing it. Would you care how she was doing it? As long as it was ethical, of course. What if it turned out that she was adding 25% more value by working 25% fewer hours? Would you care? I frequently help my clients do that. Add more value at work, often by working fewer hours. And they sometimes feel nervous at first. Working fewer hours tends to also make your life nicer. There's more time for exercising, for having a calm lunch break, for spending time with family. They can start to worry, am I doing something wrong? But I'm not telling them to be slackers, and I'm not telling them to be lazy. I am always focused on them being proud of their work and on adding as much value as possible. It's just that more hours doesn't always mean more value. Eventually, my clients realize this too. And they also realize that all of their anxiety, all of their agitation is just another thing that they need to process. But it doesn't inherently mean that something's wrong. Helping them process it is another way that I help them, but they don't need to work more hours to make that anxiety go away. They just need to manage their mind and process their feelings better. Look, a series of steps is required to actually implement working smarter, not longer. But the first key is always this. You have to shift your mindset away from thinking that your job is to show up at work for 10 hours a day, or 8 hours a day, or 12 hours a day, or 14, or 6, or however many hours you work now. Instead, you have to think, my job is to add as much value as possible, and stay laser focused on that. I'll say it again. My job is not to show up at work for 10 hours a day. My job is to add as much value as possible. And of course, the whole thrust of 10 hours back, or working with me in any capacity, if you work with me one-on-one or in some other way, is to put this idea into practice. But I think even sitting with this concept that my job is not to show up at work for 10 hours a day, my job is to add as much value as possible. When you hold that thought in your mind, when you reorient your whole brain to the fact that your job is that, you begin to find opportunities to make that thought a reality and to put it into practice. I'm not sure, as I'm recording this in advance, whether I'll be opening 10 hours back up to general enrollment or not. It may just sell out to the waitlist before that happens. But there is a link in the show notes if you would like to learn more about the group. Even if you're listening to this much later, there'll still be info for you there. But either way, I want you to know that I am rooting for you on your journey towards genuine work-life balance and working your job in a way that profoundly works for you. You've got this. Talk to you soon, everyone. If you really want to change in a meaningful, lasting way, that's when you need a life coach. Every client I've worked with has had incredibly personalized reasons why they're in the tired or anxious or stuck or uninspired state they're in. Working with me can help you identify those roadblocks, which are usually blind spots that you genuinely cannot see, and implement a profoundly customized, doable plan for overcoming them. I have a very small, high-end, one-on-one coaching practice. If you'd like to be my next client, reach out at katiesiever.com. I'd love to meet you.